ROH releases all its talent and announces a temporary shutdown. Tyson Fury is definitely returning to WWE, and the future NXT plans for Bron Breakker have been revealed. It's in the wrestling news right now. Ring of Honor has released all of its contracted talent and announced plans for a temporary shutdown in early 2022. Let's go through the statement from Ring of Honor first of all. They say, throughout the pandemic, our top priority was to keep everyone healthy and safe. And despite not producing any live events over 18 months, we were able to keep everyone fully contracted. We now find ourselves at a time where we need to make changes to our new business operations and are planning a pivot for Ring of Honor with a new mission and strategy. The year will culminate with a final battle in December, and we will be taking the first quarter of 2022 to work internally to reimagine ROH. ROH has the most dedicated fans in the industry, and we appreciate their loyalty and patience as we reconceptualize ROH. We anticipate returning to live events in April for the Supercard of Honor with a new fan-focused product and provide a unique experience for wrestling fans. Sean Ross Sapp says that anyone signed to contracts with Ring of Honor will stay contracts until the end of the year. If it goes beyond that, they'll be paid until March the 31st. And this is really sad. This came out, it seemingly came out of the blue, but this is obviously a decision they haven't made lightly.
Yeah, the thing with Ring of Honor is that for the longest time, people have sort of written off the fact that it would ever disappear, simply because there's a lot of stories whenever you read into, Sinclair, and they use Ring of Honor, and they have like a media empire, so they kind of use Ring of Honor to fill time here and there where they can. But then people have been reading saying like, it's barely on TV. It's just sort of, I don't know, I don't want to see a company with such a storied history go away for good, and hopefully it's not gonna. Hopefully this is gonna lead to some sort of drastic reshuffle that is going to allow them to compete on the level again, because AEW swooped in and sort of filled that market gap, hasn't it?
It really has, and I don't think it should be understated how commendable to Ring of Honor for keeping everybody on the payroll when they were not running shows. I think there could have been more, we saw the biggest company in the wrestling world releasing people during this time, and Ring of Honor, certainly not the biggest wrestling company in the world, keeping people on the books. I think it's just when they could have easily have had a perfectly legitimate mitigating circumstance to not. I think that's a real classy move. Yeah, real classy move. It's obviously cost them.
I think there does need to be some sort of reshuffle from a backstage perspective. There's been a lot of talk about that for quite some time within the Ring of Honor fan base, that they feel it could be handled a bit better from a creative point of view, that it could maybe be aimed a little more precisely where it needs to be, because it's in this muddy area in the market right now. I'm just hoping any rebrand isn't going to strip Ring of Honor. Well, first off, I hope that the rebrand is a rebrand and that we're not just going to see the last of them. But second, I'm hoping that it's not going to strip it of its identity, because Ring of Honor is a storied company. It has a rich history as you go back. It's an important figure in the independent wrestling world. And it'd just be a shame, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, the style that they present is so different to many other things in the sense that it's very much based on the wrestling. Yeah. It's a pure wrestling product, and I think there's still place in the market for that.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether this reconceptualization might, as you say, take that away. We yet to find out. So what of the talent for the rest of this year? Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer and Figure 4 Weekly say ROH will do tapings in November and then run Final Battle on pay-per-view. Nobody's contract will be renewed, but everyone under contract will finish out the year. They are, however, able to work anywhere they want immediately. And we've already seen Bandido, the ROH champion, being announced for GCW in December. So they literally struck while the iron was metaphorically hot. It wasn't literally strike, that's the wrong use of literal, but you know what I mean.
I think we might see a vast number of names come back to the company. I think that we may see a few people just kind of leave and go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the lay of the land is.
It's a shame because some of these names, like with Ring of Honor, didn't really get much chance to shine. Joe Hendry put out a message saying, because of ROH, I got to live my dream, traveling the States, working with some of the best. Just the start for me, and my custom entrances are back. Henry's in the best shape of his life right now as well. He's gone for what he's described as like a John Cena Goldberg-esque physique, and he looks big. Look, and he's charismatic.
Having worked with, in a promotion before, I can just wholeheartedly say Joe Hendry's probably the most dedicated talent we had. Like, he really, really wanted that connection with the audience, and he wanted people to have a good time whenever he was working, whether he was face or heel. Joe really cared. So, it's going to be that sentiment I feel for a lot of this roster.
To anybody looking to add some ROH talent to your books, I can say with the surety that Joe Hendry makes things better. Session Moth Martina says Ring of Honor has been absolutely amazing throughout this whole pandemic. We had a chat with Session Moth during lockdown for Desert Island Graps, and she was singing the praise of ROH that kept her financially and mentally ticking over. She says, I cannot thank them enough for supporting me and giving me a chance. I'll always be grateful for my short-lived time there. EC3 responded to the news by sharing a link to Free the Narrative 2. We put it free on YouTube the other weekend.
Nice.
So there you go, get it out there. Mandy Leon showing a photo of a bird flying out of a cage. Symbolic.
I think a lot of the sentiment isn't going to be echoed through all of the talent. Some people may just be glad to kind of be able to finally go work elsewhere. You're always going to have these situations when people are leaving a company, right?
Danhausen just said, buy some t-shirts, I guess. Love that, Danhausen. When we get more on the news of Ring of Honor, check out Cultaholic.com. I know that we're putting a feature together. I know right now Jackins is upstairs running a feature on Ring of Honor.
Absolutely.
So that'll be in your web browser by the end of the day. Moving over to the WWE side of things, Tyson Fury back in the conversation within the company. In Crown Jewel 2019, he had a match against Braun Strowman.
My favourite thing here is how this news story starts.
Oh, let me have a look. Hang on. So Paris Fury, ahead of her book coming out today, Love and Fury, was in conversation with, what's it say here? Tom Campbell of BBC Radio Newcastle.
Shameless.
Look at me breaking the news. Got the news.
Scoops.
So I had it. All right. So behind the curtain, I did a shift on Radio Newcastle yesterday, and I had a chat with Paris Fury. So nobody was asking her about the wrestling. So of course I asked her about the wrestling. Of course I did. I'm double shifting, double dipping, as my dad would say. So when I asked Paris Fury, how about the wrestling stuff and whether Tyson was planning to go back, Paris Fury said, Tyson is in touch with Vince McMahon all the time. He loves it. My sons are big fans of it too. For Tyson to do it is kind of like a Disneyland trip. The kids love to go and meet all the wrestlers. To be that cool dad that can give them, the kids, that dream, he does it. I think that's one of the reasons we've come to do this. And obviously being a young man, he told me he was a fan of all of these wrestlers. So he's definitely probably going to go into that again. I'm sure he will bounce back into that WWE ring one of these days. There's a show in the UK next year.
Makes a hell of a lot of sense, doesn't it, everybody?
Drew versus Tyson
at
the WWE pay-per-view in September in the UK.
We've been kind of teasing that since Tyson's first appearance. So it's just building and building. We'll get there eventually, but what a good dad.
He's great.
Getting in, doing it, so his kids can go meet all the wrestlers and
But that would be like if I had a son. I'd be like, come on, I'm going to. I know you love it.
Come on, you're going to get into all the things I like,
and then I'm
going to use you as my ticket to meet these people.
You will play with Lego.
Yeah, I think that's definitely more of the type of person I'd end up being.
Yeah, I think so as well. I genuinely do. Tyson Fury for the Principality in Wales. I've priced up train fares. It's relatively cheap. From Morecambe to Cardiff, it's easy. Final Lamar. Let's go back to Tuesday. Halloween Havoc. Every title on that show changed hands except the one that we all thought would change hands.
Yes, the big one, the big meaty gold one, the one that's still got the old sort of logo branding on like all the other ones. That's why we thought they'd all change hands so that we get new belts.
That's it. I thought it'd be new belt time. Maybe Tuesday.
I mean, changing all the belts at once, maybe a bit wishful thinking on our part. Maybe no, it's WWE that's wrong.
Do it exactly. Of course it is.
Definitely not us for just getting too overhyped.
What's the crack? It's certainly not. We're not overhyped machines at all.
Yeah.
What's the crack with Bron Breakker then?
So WrestleVotes have said guys never said Breakker was winning. This was the first part of him being the guy going forward. At one point, it was discussed to give him the title, but obviously they chose otherwise. Probably a good idea in the long run.
So he's going to be the boy, even though he didn't become the champion. Future plan is he's going to be the boy.
And we know he's probably going to be the boy because I mean, look at this. Shawn Michaels singing his praises. Shawn Michaels saying to Sports Illustrated, he's one of those individuals who has it. He's an unbelievably wonderful, passionate, hardworking young man, and he's everything that is great about this line of work. He's a throwback. He took the same path that Wahoo McDaniel, Ernie Ladd, John Bradshaw, Ted DiBiase, and Big E took. They went far in their collegiate career, but they always had this desire to be a WWE superstar. That's Bron, and he's taking this place by storm. And it's even better when you know that there's a great young man behind that person.
He could be WWE champion in our lifetime, isn't he?
He is. So long
100%.
as, as I said, just get some tigers. I want the full Steiner experience. I want a nice mixture. I want the Steiner legacy being honoured.
That WrestleMania 40 entrance. I want him to have
a big, and his entrance just has like Bron Breakker, like the Miz used to have the big awesome thing. Except he grabs the breaker, breaks it over his knee, and then inside he just pulls out a big Steiner.
And then they release the Tigers.
And then out comes Scott from behind, attacks his opponent. It's easy.
And Scott beats Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and then Scott Steiner becomes world champion for life.
Book it, you cowards.
Yep.
More news on all sorts of wrestling stuff and more on the Ring of Honor situation over at Cultaholic.com right now. And more news as we get it on the YouTube channel. Stay safe.
Bye.
Love you, bye.